This video is going to highlight Keaton Mitchell's brilliant night against the Indianapolis Colts in the Ravens preseason opener, especially in the first quarter. Talk about his burst, how he was able to get free. I think the Baltimore offense had a numbers advantage at times, either pre-snap or post-snap, and at least on one of the plays, I'll kind of break that down for you. I'm going to really take a look at the second possession, 7 plays, 71 yards, 5 run plays, 2 simple pass plays, one of them play action, one of them just to speed out Tylan Wallace. I thought there was an interesting dynamic in that Todd Monken was going up against Lou Anarumo, who's the new defensive coordinator for the Colts, spent so many years in Cincinnati. I thought Lou's defense got set up on the second drive, and I'll document every play here from both angles to kind of give you an idea of what I mean. I have to do this one more time, credit to Ken at Film Study Ravens. He's been talking about Keaton Mitchell multiple times in the lead up to the preseason opener as if he was the best player in camp. In fact, he even used that phrase multiple times, and he looked like it last night, along with, don't get me wrong, LaJohntay Wester. Rasheen Ali had some great moments as well, but Wester and Mitchell were the story. I want to do a separate video on the punt returns and show you how Wester was able to be given so much time to make some of those moves. Just a really fun night of watching the young talent on the Ravens roster perform. I have more to come in terms of videos today, at least 2, focusing on the offensive line and or the Ravens outside linebacker edge group. Like I said, this is all going to be from the second possession. I'll try to give the down and distance, personnel, and then formation and maybe play call in a little text box for you to see prior to each snap. So 21 personnel, this is a formation that Monken used a lot. Call it pro slot. You got tight end, Z down to the boundary, the bottom side, and then really the fullback and the X up to the field, the top side of our screen. Outside zone stretch concept here. I feel like the tight end's doing a nice job. I think it's Kolar against 91. And then also, I believe this is Noteboom here, as the left tackle, going to combo the D tackle and then try to move up to this front side inside linebacker here, the boundary side guy, the Colts defense. You can see Mitchell goes right through that lane. I'll give you the end zone angle of most of these plays for what I believe is a 6-yard gain. Same play from the end zone angle. I think Rosengarten's trying to cut off this defensive tackle. That's illustrated by the orange line. Filele, I think, is getting a nice combo with the center. There's Mitchell's path. He ends up going inside the C gap, inside of this tight end's block on the edge defender or outside linebacker to the boundary. Rosengarten, I feel like, is a little sloppy in some of the stuff I saw last night. Doesn't necessarily matter here. Definitely missed a block on inside linebacker on this possession, number 1. Number 2, I thought looked like he was giving up his chest some in pass pro and in run situations. 6-yard gain sets up, I believe, a 2nd and 4. Thought Monken trained Lou Anarumo and the Colts defense to defend things to the tight end side out of 21 personnel. So this is a 21 personnel group, fullback, tight end, both set to the field. It's that offset fullback. I call it Ram if it's to the right, Lion if it's to the left. And you can see how the Colts responded initially, right? They rolled up the strong safety into the box on the tight end. That's the guy who's spot shadowed in yellow. And then that's the corner with the blue arrow pointing to him. So really, they're just trying to match numbers. This is a 2nd and 4, the very next play after Keaton Mitchell's initial run. It's a wing eye concept, or formation, excuse me, with a power concept. There's just so many numbers in there trying to get stacked up. I feel like Kolar is really doing a nice job on this edge defender, getting some movement. I don't know that I'm going to give you the end zone angle on this one. So here's Kolar, and I'm talking about this edge defender kind of stunting or trying to cross his face, which has been a problem for the Ravens offensive line for the last year plus. And Kolar, I feel like, is getting some displacement on that guy, number 1. Filele and Rosengarten, I think, are doing a nice job at least trying to clear a path. But like I said, there's just too many numbers there, and I don't have the end zone angle of that play. Moving forward, this is a 3rd and 3, the very next snap. 11 personnel, and once you saw this, you kind of knew what was coming. The tight end outside and then motioning down inside of the wide receiver, and it's pin-pull pitch. And really, I think you've got a mistake here either by Kolar or Wallace. They're doubling this edge defender, which is not normally what we do on pin-pull pitch. And what it means is Wallace is a little bit late getting to this guy, the frontside inside linebacker, and as a result, he's the player who really shows up at the football and almost makes the tackle. That's what I'm talking, or almost makes the stop to prevent us from getting the first down. We got a fortunate spot here, if you ask me. So we're talking about Wallace pinning down an edge defender. It's effective. It certainly displaced that edge defender 91 horizontally. and Kolar was able to turn him. But as a result, the trade-off is that we don't get to that inside linebacker, and you can see he's right there along with a defensive tackle that Voorhees just couldn't go get. Like I said, I think we got a pretty fortunate spot on that play. Noteboom didn't look bad. He looked very quick and athletic. I think the concerns there for him is just availability. He's had so many injuries in the last couple of years. Kolar just came onto our screen. And like I said, he's going to down block 91. That's the pin aspect. And then the pull is Noteboom. Voorhees is trying to reach this defensive tackle illustrated by the blue line. I think Falele does a nice job here going to get the backside D tackle. Rosengarten is taking off running, trying to get the backside inside linebacker. Unfortunately, we can't get to the front side inside linebacker, and Voorhees just really can't stay on this defensive tackle. Ali commits to it because he knows what he's got to get and gets a 3-yard gain. Moving forward, the very next play, like I said, probably a fortunate spot. I think on replay it looked like it could have been a little bit short, but in any case, we were rewarded with a 1st and 10. I think this is 12 personnel. I believe this is a tight end up here, but I might be wrong. It's a speed out to Wallace down into the boundary. He's just so efficient. First of all, he was efficient in the regular season last year, right? It was like an 84 or 86% catch to target rate, something like that. In the preseason, is the same guy. I mean, really. I don't know about you. We don't need to see him. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure seeing someone like Tylan Wallace out there play. And I feel like in the preseason, we would maybe be better served to get some of those reps to Wester, Walker, and others. Really feel like we know what Wallace can do. I wonder if in the preseason we might be better served on quick game stuff like this. Meaning our offensive line, I thought, had difficulty in pass pro last night. One of the better reps, but it's a quick game concept. So we're getting the ball out quick on a speed out. Really, it's a 3-step. Rush delivers the ball right on time. We had off coverage. So it kind of makes that area of the field, the boundary, available to us. Again, as I mentioned in the reaction video last night, at this point I've committed to tracking field and boundary side attack because there's so much of it that's to the boundary. Now, this next play actually goes against that statement. This is 21 personnel pro I, so tight end, and then the fullback is on the midline, so theoretically he could go into the boundary. He's lined up on the midline. He's not offset like that Ram alignment where his feet were to the right, like I spoke about, I think, 3 plays ago. Lead stretch, we're leaving the backside D-end unblocked, 91, and so Rush is possibly booting or could boot off of that. That's the orange line. Mitchell's path is illustrated by the yellow line, following the fullback, hence the phrase or word lead. And I think Rosengarten is just missing the front side inside linebacker here. There's nobody to get him once Rosengarten missed him. The inside linebacker goes underneath. Kind of a poor angle, if you ask me, that Rosengarten took. Really big steps, not really under control such that he could adjust to the inside linebacker going underneath of him. So here's what I mean. And this is, by the way, the same look basically as I talked about when the Ravens lined up in wing eye on the second play of the game, the power concept that Keaton Mitchell didn't really get much on, only 1 yard. Strong safeties rolled up inside the box, inside leverage of the defensive end. This edge defender right here. So the strong safety is lined up over the tight end, presumably in man. This is the inside linebacker that Rosengarten is unable to go get. Falele, I think, gets a good reach here on the defensive tackle. You can see he's reached him. He's sealed that guy off. Rosengarten, I think, has a great angle to deal with this pre-snap and post-snap. I mean, he's just huge steps here to go get the guy who goes underneath. Rosengarten has no choice but to try to get hands to the face. We've got the fullback for the strong safety that I talked about, Kolar on the edge defender. Kolar seemed like he did a nice job blocking last night. And as a result, Keaton Mitchell has to bounce that thing outside because the front side inside linebacker is right there. Really nice play call coming up here next. And there's so many ways that Monken can attack into the boundary. On the 3rd and 3, you saw the pin pull pitch to Rasheen Ali, where we got the first down, fortunately. Here is another 21 personnel, same formation as the first play of the game, pro slot under center. So the pro is the tight end and the Z on the same side. Pro slot is the X and the fullback or the F on the weak side of the formation. It's a 2x2 formation, pro slot under center, and we're faking F counter to the field. but the tight end is peeling back into the boundary. Balele is supposed to come and get this defensive end. He's just a little bit slow here. I mean, that defensive end is off and running. Mind you, he's attacking. So he is able to kind of put some backside threat of pressure maybe onto Cooper Rush. The guy that's put in, severe conflict here is this inside linebacker into the boundary. So he's got the boundary side guard pulling and trying to kick. Doesn't really happen, but it's just what he's supposed to do. Boundary side F for fullback could pull and wrap. And if that's the play, F counter to the field, then they need that guy to fit over here, basically to match those numbers crossing the midline. Well, he doesn't. Kolar crosses his face. This is the inside linebacker right there. Strong safety running with Kolar, appears to be in man, don't get me wrong. It looks to me like maybe the inside linebacker is responsible for the fullback, and as a result of that movement, post-snap, 47 basically making it look like a run play to our left, to the inside linebacker's right, flipped from our perspective here, then he's put in tremendous conflict. He's got the guard pulling. If he's responsible for 47-man, then they need him to cross the midline against the run concept. It's not. Kolar is crossing his face. That edge defender is spot shadowed in yellow. Like I said, some slight threat of pressure. Watching it live, I was like, oh, wow, he was close. You see it here, he actually was not. He wasn't able to really pressure rush, but nonetheless, we'd like to get a piece of him. Nice play concept into the boundary for what I believe is a 7-yard gain. Here is where I think Monken setting up the Colts defense is kind of revealed. Look at how we are lined up with the ball on the right hash. We've got the tight end and the fullback set to the field. I have it labeled as pro I. Technically, it'd be lion in the terminology that I know, but many other people use different phrases or words. In any case, it's a 2-by-1 formation, but the fullback is offset to the side of the tight end. So the Colts, have matched by rolling a strong safety up numerically to try to balance things up. And I'll talk about numbers pre-snap when we get the end zone angle in a moment. It's an F counter concept. So the left guard, Voorhees, is going to pull, and then the fullback is going to kick out or wrap, and go get the boundary side inside linebacker. Basically, we have two guys crossing the midline who lined up on the left side of the offense. It's the guard, and then the fullback wrapping underneath to go get this guy, the boundary side inside linebacker. Same guy that I've talked about multiple times in this video. And as a result of two guys crossing the midline, we're +2. Technically, we lost the center because he back blocked, but there's no one matching it. And when you give Keaton Mitchell any kind of room at all, this is the result. Huge exploitation, I think, of the Colts defense, particularly into the boundary. Really nice drive called by Monken. I talked about a lot of things here, beyond just Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell's a finisher. I mean, he is, to use a basketball analogy, he's a dunker. He's a guy that if you get him in space, he just finishes plays, makes guys miss. A brilliant night to see him finish things off, to see him be given those opportunities. Number one was fun. I said it in a reaction video and also talked about it with Tylan Wallace. A little bit of a guilty pleasure here because really at this point I don't need to see him play in the preseason. But, hey, we can enjoy it if he's going to be out there on the field for the first quarter plus. 9 carries last night, I believe 78 yards, maybe 68, So the math pre-snap works for the Colts. So what I mean is we've got a guard, tackle, we've got a receiver off screen to our right. That's 3. The quarterback and center count for a half man each. That's 4. Mitchell counts for a half man. That's 4.5. So from a Ravens standpoint, we have 4.5 into the boundary, at least the way that I was taught to count numbers. Other people may do it differently. Let's do the Colts side. D tackle, D end. 2. Corner off screen to our right. 3. This inside linebacker, since he's canted or offset, he would be 4. And then this nose tackle is 4.5. Pre-snap numbers look good for the Colts. 4.5 to 4.5. Of course, that means to the field, they're balanced up. What makes them balanced up is because they've got this safety rolled up to the tight end side, and this safety is left of the midline. The midline is right there. So once post-snap, we get 2 players crossing the midline. In this case, it is Voorhees and the fullback. You need someone to cross the midline to assist in those numbers. And the player that we're talking about basically would be the field side inside linebacker. There's no supporting backside inside linebacker. Maybe he's not reading the fullback. Maybe he's not reading the guard. Who knows what he's reading on this particular play. We showed this concept, if you recall, on the play action to Kolar, basically the same exact action, but to the other side, to the field. Really nice setup, and you can see we get people call it a hat for a hat, but we've got the numbers here. This is not even. Why do we have the numbers? Because we've got a guy with the ball, and there's no match. So there's no match by the backside inside linebacker. I think he's here, crossing the midline, possibly being able to fit wherever Mitchell reads it and goes. And at that point, I think it was even Rod Woodson on the broadcast that I was watching anyway. He said, "It's over. He's gone." Right about here, he said, "It's over. He's gone." And you probably even recognized it sooner than that. Awesome to see Keaton Mitchell return, have an impact like this, and be able to finish drives off, drives that I thought, even with our limited quarterback efficiency, the ability to call plays with our quarterbacks is severely limited in the preseason. Keaton Mitchell shows that we've got a ton of options. Even Rasheen Ali later in the game had some really nice plays on the kick return and then also a couple of runs. Overall, for the night, I think the Ravens really got things done on the ground. 42 carries for 177. D'Ernest Johnson, 16 or maybe 18 carries, one of those two. Mitchell did finish with 68 in the touchdown. Really looks like the same guy that we all had a blast watching in 2023. If you look back at that season, and again, Rob Woodson pointed this out as well, that season could look totally different if he's not injured late, right? If he's out there on the field in the playoffs, he's a home run hitter, someone that can just break tackles, make people miss, or bounce things outside when need be, as we saw last night on one of the plays I illustrated from the second drive here. To have him, Mitchell, in the same backfield as Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and oh, by the way, Lamar Jackson, it's a unique set of circumstances, just tremendous blessings and wealth for Todd Monken and the offensive staff to have at running back in any time period, whatever the situation asks for. We've got guys who can get the job done. Like I said, I'll have a couple of more videos out today. One on the outside linebacker group, Green, Isaac, and Ojabo. Ojabo played even better on film than I thought just watching it. And Green is just a force who's very technical as well. That's something that I grabbed or I heard mentioned months ago leading up to the pre-draft process. And for the physical skills and gifts, he does so many things right from a technique standpoint. So there's going to be some certain focus on that. And when I get an opportunity, maybe Saturday morning, I have an offensive line video that shows really some ragged play from the right side with two of our starters out there in Filele and Rosengarten. In any case, you guys let me know what you think of the video in the comment section. Some of my thoughts here on Keaton Mitchell, and then also how Todd Monken was able to exploit or manipulate the Colts defense and then eventually lay the hammer down on them with the F counter play into the boundary. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this film study look at Keaton Mitchell's play, his finishing touches on that second drive, and the Ravens' overall offensive concepts that they use on the second drive, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.